from the broadcast studio, hitting in the static. This ain't no bedtime story, son, it's prophetic. Encrypted signals from the shadows of the garden. We dig where the dirt got secrets, no parting. Microphone alchemist, scriptures with a twist. Peep the frequency, seeds in the mist. We drop bars like plagues, revelations in the cadence. Broadcasting truth while they trapped in surveillance. Wisdom with a watchman's blade. Fourth watch style while your whole system fade. Blood moons, Nephilim, echoes in the pine. Sasquatch stomping through the fault lines of time. We ain't mainstream, we ancient stream. Cypher with the prophets, decode the dream. So if you tuned in, better guard your mind. It's broadcasting seeds and we breaking the design.
You step into the pines, and the night swallows the sound of your own breath. The pine barrens do that. Millions of scrub acres, sugar, sand roads that basically go nowhere, and a sky that feels one size too tight. Now picture this. The year 1735. A storm pins a small cabin to the earth. Inside, a woman named Deborah Leeds curses the life inside her. Let it be the devil. The baby arrives, screams, spreads leather wings, and shoots up the chimney into the black. That is the story the locals kept like a family secret. The name stuck. The Leeds devil, the Jersey devil, a thing with hooves and a horse's head that tears the quiet and eats fear for fuel. That version of the legend traces back to the Leeds family and the area now called Leeds Point in the southern New Jersey pines. It is folklore, but it is old and stubborn, and it keeps showing up in maps, museums, museum placards, and oral history, because people swear they've heard it, and sometimes swear they have seen it. Here's what we're going to do tonight on Broadcasting Seeds. We're going to treat this creature like evidence in a cold case. No panic, no campfire theatrics. We will lay out the origin story and the social weather around it. We will put the sightings and the 1909 hysteria on a true or false board and see what holds up when you press. We will take a hard look at why monsters bloom in places where faith is thin, money is dirty, and history does not heal the way it should. If this thing is real, you will get the best case I can build in an hour. If it is not, you will still walk out with a theory you can use the next time the woods go quiet and the hair on your arms lifts like a field of grass in a small wind. Quick housekeeping, though. If you like shows that sit in the tension between scripture and sightings, between folklore and FOIA, hit like, share the episode with a friend who knows the pines, and drop a review on Apple or Spotify. Reviews feed the algorithm. The algorithm feeds the show, and shows bring more witnesses, more researchers, more truth. That is how this thing grows. Benetton here, Broadcasting Seeds. Let's go plant a few. Section 1, 13th Child. Curses, chaos, and colonial fever. Colonial fear. Picture the colonies in 1735. No boardwalks, no diners, no Springsteen, just dense pine wilderness and superstitions thicker than the tar that they boiled to patch ships. In that world, religion wasn't just a Sunday hobby. It was the oxygen everyone breathed. Witches weren't fairy tales, they were neighborhood problems. So when a woman named Deborah Leeds, already worn thin after 12 children, allegedly cursed her 13th, it struck a nerve deep in the colonial psyche. Newspapers from the time are long gone, but records confirm a Leeds family did live in the area that became Leeds Point. Daniel Leeds, Deborah's husband, had a reputation for being complicated. He was a publisher and a bit of a heretic by Puritan standards, and he printed almanacs filled with astrological charts, basically colonial horoscopes. That alone was enough to get you labeled as in league with the devil. Ben Franklin even roasted him publicly in competing almanacs, calling his ghost Titan Leeds after Daniel's death. Funny guy, that Franklin. But that smear stuck like pine sap. So when the rumors began to swirl about a monstrous child born to the Leeds family, people didn't need proof. They already had a villain. This was the 18th century version of going viral. The legend spread along the coast, fueled by sermons and gossip. By the time it reached Philadelphia, it had evolved from strange baby to demonic flyer of the pines. But the real power of the legend wasn't the creature, it was the fear behind it. The Pine Barrens were a wild, lawless buffer zone between wealthy coastal merchants and poor farmers, outcasts, and smugglers. Preachers warned their flocks that this wilderness was God's testing ground, a place where civilization and salvation ended. When lightning hit a barn or a crop failed, it wasn't bad luck. It was the devil's due. It was the devil taking his due. The Leeds devil became the cautionary tale of a society at war with its own wilderness and conscience. It was a way to explain chaos, poverty, and rebellion without taking responsibility for any of it. Easier to blame a winged creature than confront that you built your new world on fear and blood. But monsters, once named, tend to grow. Section 2, Devil in the Pines, Sighting Science and Secret Experiments. If the 1700s gave birth to the legend, then the 1909 gave it its wings. Literally. That January, the Jersey Devil went on what newspapers call a week-long reign of terror. The Philadelphia Inquirer and Trenton Times ran headlines about hoof prints in the snow that walked up fences, across rooftops, and disappeared into thin air. Schools closed, factories shut down. Police officers claimed they fired on the creature, only for bullets to pass straight through it. This wasn't just gossip, it was mass hysteria on record. Over 1,000 eyewitnesses reported pouring in without a single business. Pouring in within a single week. Business owners nailed their doors shut. A trolley car full of commuters claimed they saw it gliding overhead, its red eyes glowing like coals. Even the Philadelphia Zoo offered a $10,000 reward for the creature captured. Seriously? You can check the archives. Now, if these were purely panic, that'd be one thing. But the Pine Barrens are home to a mix of things that make legends sticky. Extreme isolation, weird sounds, and restricted land. Over the next century, sightings didn't stop, they just changed flavor. In the 1950s, airmen from nearby McGuire Air Force Base reported seeing an unidentified flying creature with bat-like wings. Hunters in the 60s found claw marks on trees 15 feet high. In the 70s, state troopers chased something on Route 9 that moved faster than any known animal, then vanished when it hit the tree line. Could it be misidentifications? Sure. Sandhill cranes, deer, maybe even escaped exotic pets, but there's something else worth considering: the military connection. The Pine Barrens sit next to a cluster of Cold War era installations: McGuire Air Force Base, Lakehurst Naval Air Station, and Fort Dix, all of which hosted experimental aircraft programs. Local rumor says strange sounds, flashing lights, and flying shapes were common as far back as the 1940s. There's even an old report of a craft crash on the edge of the pines that involved a biological specimen. Officially, weather balloon. But so was Roswell. Then there's the science angle. During the early 20th century, those same barrens were a dumping ground for chemicals and industrial waste, mutations, deformations, sick wildlife. It's possible some of the so-called devil sightings were byproducts of early American experimentation with industry and warfare. The Leeds legend may have just given people the language to explain what they couldn't process: something unnatural living in the woods. But whether this devil flew mutated or materialized from fear itself, it stuck around. Maybe because it wasn't just about a creature, it was about what the creature represented. And that brings us to the heart of it: the spiritual echo, the curse that never left. Section 3: the spiritual echo, America's generational curse. All right, so let's strip this down to the bone. The Leeds Devil, the Jersey Devil, might not just be a monster story at all. It might be, here we go, a mirror. Every civilization has a shadow. Egypt had the plagues. Rome had its burning. America, for all its talks of light and liberty, was built on contradiction. Freedom on one hand, slavery on the other. Faith in God mixed with the obsession to control nature and destiny. The Jersey Devil was born right in the middle of that conflict. A 13th child cursed by its mother in a land still half wilderness. It's almost poetic. A nation of rebels giving birth to a creature that rebelled against creation itself. Some theologians call it a spiritual echo. The idea that sin, unrepented, generational sin, leaves residue. It stains a place, a bloodline, or a people until someone breaks it. Maybe that's what the Pine Barrens are: a wound that never healed. Think about it: 13 colonies, 13 cursed generations, a 13th child. That number represents like a warning label, repeats like a warning label on the soul of a nation. The wilderness itself, once seen as Satan's territory, still groans under the weight of what happened there. Broken treaties, greed, pride, fear of the unknown. Then when people say they feel something in the woods, maybe they do. Maybe it's not a cryptid's call at all. Maybe it's a resonance, an energy tied to centuries of rebellion and regret. The devil of the pines might be what happens when we forget that creation has memory, that the land keeps score even when the courts don't. Or maybe it's simpler. Maybe every generation invents its own monster to make sense of the darkness it refuses to name. In 1735, it was the devil's baby. In 1909, it was the winged beast. Today, maybe it's disinformation, division, and spiritual apathy, the same demon wearing a digital base. So whether it's hooves in the mud or algorithms in your feed, the effect's the same. The legend doesn't die because the lesson's not learned. closing the pines, and that's the story. Or maybe the warning of the Jersey Devil. A legend that never quite lands, just circles overhead like a buzzard waiting for a meal. Whether you see it as folklore, a flesh and blood mutation, or a spiritual echo stitched into the soil of every America, soil of early America, the point is the same. Some monsters don't need proof to be real. They just need believers. If this episode planted something in you, a question, a chill, maybe the urge to drive down a forgotten pine barren road at midnight, don't keep it to yourself. Share, like, and review the podcast wherever you're listening. That's how the signal grows, and that's how more curious minds find their way into this little corner of strange. Next time, we'll open another file, brush off another rumor, and see if the facts hold when the flashlight hits them. Until then, keep your eyes open, your face steady, and your curiosity sharp. This is Bennett Tanton, and you've been listening to Broadcasting Seeds.
The wind was wailing through the pine. A curse was whispered down the line. 13 cries and one stillborn, born in blood, baptized in storm. They said her sins would take their shape. A devil child, no soul to save. And when the lightning split the sky, something screamed and learned to fly. Born in the storm, where the crosses are rocked, forgotten by the faithful, remembered by the lost. When the thunder rolls, you can hear her mourn. The devil's child was born in the storm. They hunted shadows through the trees, heard wings that beat like blasphemies. The preacher swore, I've seen its face, half a man and half disgrace. The pine roots twist, the rivers stay. No child of God could wear that name. But every century she returns, and every sin still burns. Born in a storm, where the crosses are rocked, forgotten by the faithful, remembered by the lost. When the thunder rolls, you can hear her mourn. The devil's child was born in the storm. They say the forest remembers. Every curse leaves a scar. And the pines, they whisper back. Born in